This is my summary for Module 7 discussion. After watching a few, I realized that there were different perspectives. A lot of people, of course, were discussing the cons and the negatives associated with cyber suicide. But Sydney Boone actually discussed some of the pros and the positives that come with these platforms and the groups that are within the platforms that discuss cyber suicide. She mentioned on Twitter or X, there was a thread. It was like the pettiest reasons why people didn't go through with their suicide. And it just was things like, I think she said, people said they wouldn't like how they looked in the casket, or they didn't want to have pain be the last thing they experience if they like were to jump off a building. So I appreciated that different perspective, because she said that there were a lot of users who said that the thread helped them, and even, you know, it doesn't have to be a huge revelation or a huge reason why you decide not to take your life. The fact that you didn't take your life is, even if it's as small and petty as you don't like the way your body looks right now, so you wouldn't want to be put in a casket looking this way. So I appreciated that perspective, because I never really took that into account, that it could be helpful for those who experience it. But on the other hand, V. Cole Lott discussed how people who are exposed to these cyber suicidal contents are more likely to carry out these acts. But I think, you know, that goes hand in hand. With pros, there are cons. She also discusses that there needs to be more resources available to users, and a collaboration with mental health professionals, and I think that's definitely a good idea. She mentions the BetterHelp ads that have been popping up on social media platforms, and I've noticed them. And I do understand what she's saying in regards to, it's not really the platform pushing this content out, it's a paid advertisement. I think that, one, if these mental health companies and professionals put forth more money towards advertisement, then I also think that'd be help. But I also think there needs to be more of a collab, not just a paid advertisement coming up on my TikTok and I'm more likely to just swipe. And more companies other than BetterHelp. I think there's other useful mental health organizations other than BetterHelp. And lastly, Shanette Hicks, she talks about the pros and cons in internet usage and the ethical challenges within these platforms. She discusses there needs to be a change in algorithm or even an AI feature to pick up suicidal talk on social media platforms. And I think that was a great point to make. Sydney also talks about the cons to adding or blocking out the word suicide on platforms, because it could be like a helpful thread like she discussed. But I also do think that some type of AI feature or some feature within the platform could be implemented where if the word suicide is picked up, just like heavily watching that. And then obviously, of course, if it's like the algorithm is changed, so like if the people around you or your friends, like if the word suicide is picked up, having that algorithm be like the first thing that they see, I think that'd be a lot more helpful, because there are a lot of situations where people are expressing that they're unhappy or they're deeply depressed, and then later, you know, they end up taking their lives, and the signs were all there on the internet, but people just weren't seeing them, or it wasn't really just discussed. So I think that might be able to help. But yeah, that's my discussion.